शुभांशु ने। स्पेस माइक्रो एल्गी प्रयोग में भी उन्होंने हिस्सा लिया। अंतरिक्ष में हड्डियों की सेहत पर भी प्रयोग किया। ये ग्राफिक्स के माध्यम से हम आपको समझाने की कोशिश करें। 28 जून 2025 को प्रधानमंत्री मोदी से बात भी हुई थी शुभांशु की। कहा कि अंतरिक्ष से भारत बहुत भव्य दिखता है। शुभांशु ने बताया था कि 3, 4 और 8 जुलाई को 500 से ज़्यादा छात्रों से बात की। 6 जुलाई को उन्होंने इसरो के चेयरमैन और अधिकारियों से बात की। कपोला मॉड्यूल से पृथ्वी की शानदार तस्वीरें खींची। आईएसएस के कपोला मॉड्यूल से आईएसएस में जाने वाले पहले भारतीय हैं शुभांशु। तो शुभांशु ने पूरे भारत का मान बढ़ाया है। पहुंच गए शुभांशु शुक्ला, पहुंच चुके हैं और वापसी हो चुकी है शुभांशु शुक्ला के। 18 दिन बाद शुभांशु शुक्ला का धरती पर कदम। कैलिफोर्निया के तट पर जो स्प्लैश डाउन हुआ थोड़ी देर में जो है, आपको बता दें कि वो अब पहुंच चुके हैं शुभांशु शुक्ला। वापसी हो चुकी है उनकी और 23 घंटे के सफर के बाद ये वापसी हुई है। री एंट्री में स्पेसक्राफ्ट का तापमान 2500 सेंटीग्रेड। और ये देखिए, ये तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं किस तरह से वापसी हुई है। कैलिफोर्निया के तट पर स्प्लैश डाउन और री एंट्री में स्पेसक्राफ्ट का तापमान भी हम आपको बता रहे हैं। और 23 घंटे बाद वापसी हो रही है। 23 घंटे का सफर लग गया। तो आपको बता दें कि जो शुभांशु शुक्ला हैं, अंतरिक्ष में भारत का कद बढ़ाने वाले शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी हो चुकी है और वो धरती पर लौट चुके हैं। उनको अंतरिक्ष से ला रहा स्पेस एक्स ड्रैगन, जो भारतीय समय अनुसार जो था कि 3 बजे तक पहुंच जाएगा, वो लगभग पहुंच चुका है। आईएसएस पर पहली बार भारत का परचम लहराकर भारतीयों को गौरवान्वित करने वाले अंतरिक्ष यात्री शुभांशु शुक्ला का जो स्वागत है, हम सभी 140 करोड़ से अधिक भारतवासी उनका स्वागत करने के लिए आतुर हैं। और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय अंतरिक्ष स्टेशन आईएसएस पर 18 दिनों तक वो रहे और 23 घंटे का सफ़र तय करके ये देखिए, हम तस्वीर भी दिखा रहे हैं आपको किस तरह से वो अब धीरे धीरे नीचे आते हुए। तो 18 दिनों तक अंतरिक्ष में रहे और वैज्ञानिक प्रयोग करने के बाद गगन यात्री शुभांशु एक्सियोम 4 मिशन के अपने 3 सहयोगी अंतरिक्ष यात्रियों के साथ वो अब धीरे धीरे नीचे आते हुए, जो तस्वीरें भी आपके सामने दिख रही हैं। तो देश का गौरव बढ़ाने वाले शुभांशु शुक्ला अब धरती पर आ रहे हैं। उनकी वापसी हो चुकी है और देखिए कि अब, और ये देखिए वापसी, ये अब पहुंच चुके हैं शुभांशु शुक्ला और भारत का गौरव शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी हो चुकी है। सफल लैंडिंग हो चुकी है शुभांशु शुक्ला की। आईएसएस पर भारत का परचम लहराकर उनकी वापसी अब हो चुकी है। और देखिए, ये सीधे तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। तो शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी हो चुकी है। भारत का गौरव और भारत का परचम अंतरिक्ष में लहराने वाले शुभांशु शुक्ला की अब घर वापसी हो चुकी है। और प्रशांत महासागर में के बता दें, प्रशांत महासागर में जो लैंडिंग हुई है, और देखिए उनको लेने के लिए लोग भी वहां पर पहुंचे हुए हैं। सफल लैंडिंग हुई है तो आपको बता दें धरती के वातावरण में प्रवेश के बाद प्रशांत महासागर के 5.5 किलोमीटर ऊपर ड्रैगन के 2 पैराशूट खुल गए थे। ड्रैगन जब और नीचे आया तो समुद्र से 2 किलोमीटर ऊपर 4 प्रमुख पैराशूट खुले। उसके बाद आपने देखा अब किस तरह से प्रशांत महासागर में सफल लैंडिंग हुई है। चार प्रमुख पैराशूट के नीचे ड्रैगन 27 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा की गति से वो पानी में गिरा और पैराशूट अपने आप स्पेस क्राफ्ट से अलग हो गया। ये हम आपको बता रहे हैं क्या क्या चीज़ें हुई और ये जो तस्वीरें हमने आपको दिखाई प्रशांत महासागर में किस तरह से ड्रैगन की लैंडिंग हुई, उसके बाद वहाँ पर लोग मौजूद थे और शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी हो चुकी है। भारत का मान बढ़ाकर शुभांशु शुक्ला वापस लौटे। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय अंतरिक्ष स्टेशन ISS पर 18 दिनों तक रहकर कई वैज्ञानिक प्रयोग करने के बाद शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी हुई है और देश का मान, देश का गौरव शुभांशु शुक्ला। और ये जो लैंडिंग हुई बड़ी सफल लैंडिंग हुई है, ये भी आपको बता दें। और हमने आपको बताया कि कैसे कैसे लैंडिंग हुई, कैसे कैसे पैराशूट खुला, फिर कितनी गति से नीचे आए शुभांशु शुक्ला ड्रैगन से। ये देखिए जो तस्वीर दिख रही है आपको, ये प्रशांत महासागर की है और किस तरह से देखिए धीरे धीरे वहाँ पर लोग मौजूद भी हैं उनको लेने के लिए। धीरे धीरे ड्रैगन वो किस तरह से नीचे आया। तो डी ऑर्बिट बर्न के बाद ड्रैगन धरती के वातावरण में जब प्रवेश करता है तो इस दौरान हवा के घर्षण से ड्रैगन का जो तापमान है वो भी काफ़ी अधिक गर्म हो जाता है। हीट शील्ड ड्रैगन में सवार अंतरिक्ष यात्रियों को इस तापमान से बचाती है, ये भी आपको बता दें। कैप्सूल करीब 27 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की रफ्तार से समुद्र में पानी से टकराता है। गति तेज है लेकिन समुद्र कैप्सूल को सहारा देता है, ये समझिएगा। जो कैप्सूल है उसको जो है समुद्र कैप्सूल को सहारा देता है और कैप्सूल को इस तरह से बनाया गया है।
Recovery process. So we are now eagerly waiting on recovery of our Dragon spacecraft with the AX-4 crew. Dragon has already autonomously completed several steps to save itself following splashdown.
उन लोगों की जो है सफल
as I said, today indeed Bharat has found an enduring space in the world of space. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And
Less than an hour to raise Dragon to the recovery boat and remove the crew from the space.
all of them would be in the quarantine for over next 1 week, maybe up to 23rd. And from 24th onwards, they would be having team discussions with the experts from the ISRO. Then for the next 3-4 days that will continue, after which they would be spending time having separate discussions with the representatives of Axiom, representatives of SpaceX and representatives of NASA separately. That's called debriefing. And after that is accomplished, which would go on for about maybe nearly 2 weeks, till about 12th or 13th of April. Then they'll start preparations for returning home in case of Shubhanshu to return back to India.
First fast boat makes initial contact and is focused on immediate safety inspection of the vehicle, checking for vehicle integrity.
शुभांशु के परिवार वाले समूह में मौजूद हैं, फिलहाल अभी बोलने को तैयार नहीं है क्योंकि
It's a moment of pride for the whole world and a moment of glory for India as one of her illustrious sons returns back after accomplishing a successful voyage and after having conducted some of the very vital life-bearing experiments never done before. And therefore, as I said, today, indeed, Bharat has found an enduring space in the world of space. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And
Less than an hour to raise Dragon to the recovery boat and remove the crew from the space.
all of them would be in the quarantine for over next 1 week, maybe up to 23rd. And from 24th onwards, they would be having team discussions with the experts from the ISRO. Then for the next 3-4 days that will continue, after which they would be spending time having separate discussions with the representatives of Axiom, representatives of SpaceX, and representatives of NASA separately. That's called debriefing. And after that is accomplished, which would go on for about maybe nearly 2 weeks, till about 12th or 13th of April. Then they'll start preparations for returning home in case of Shubhanshu to return back to India. So that could be around 14th or 15th. The preparations will begin. And as of now, we speculate that he should be with us over here on the 17th of August.
17th.
जैसा मैंने कहा, के लिए ये गर्व का पल तो है ही है, भारत के लिए एक अद्भुत आनंद का पल है कि भारत मां का एक पुत्र आज कामयाबी से लौटा है ऑफ द कैलिफोर्निया कोस्ट सैन डिएगो में 8:30-9 बजे के वहां से रवाना होने के बाद उसके पश्चात लगभग 2.5-3 घंटे का रास्ता है। 11:30 बजे तक लगभग ह्यूस्टन पहुंचेंगे। अगले 5-6 दिन रिहैबिलिटेशन की एक्सरसाइज चलेगी क्योंकि उन्हें they'll have to get used to the Earth's atmosphere and the Earth's milieu. लगभग 23 तारीख तक ये क्रम मुकम्मल होगा और तत्पश्चात लगभग 1 सप्ताह उनकी डिस्कशंस, टीम डिस्कशन चलेंगी इसरो के जो हमारे प्रतिनिधि हैं उनके साथ। और तत्पश्चात फिर लगभग 15 दिन से अप टू ऑलमोस्ट 13th और 14th ऑफ अगस्त उनकी डीब्रीफिंग के सेशंस रहेंगे। अलग अलग जो इसमें स्टेक होल्डर्स थे, जो पार्टनर्स थे, एक्सियम की टीम के साथ, नासा की टीम के साथ, स्पेसएक्स की टीम के साथ। और फिर 14-15 के लगभग अगस्त उनकी वापसी की तैयारी होगी। और जैसा कि अभी योजना बनाई गई है उसके मुताबिक हम ये उम्मीद कर सकते हैं कि 17 अगस्त के लगभग शुभांशु दिल्ली हमारे बीच होंगे। और जैसे मैंने आरंभ में कहा कि विश्व बंधु बनने का जो आह्वान प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने किया था उसका पहला संकेत आज शुभांशु के माध्यम से भारत दुनिया को देने में कामयाब हुआ है।
Science and Technology Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh lauding Axiom 4 missions crew's return to Earth. He called it a massive landmark achievement for Shubhanshu Shukla, first Indian astronaut to have visited the International Space Station. He called it a true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, a Sanskrit phrase which means that the world is our family, where a son of Mother India, as he said, has made the country proud, its people proud. And following Shubhanshu Shukla and his crew's return to Earth, he will undergo these rehabilitation tests in the USA and subsequently return to Delhi on 17th of August. And of course, both Axiom 4 mission and SpaceX have confirmed this Dragon capsule's safe return to Earth. It has been a remarkable space odyssey of 18 days on the ISS, International Space Station, where a lot of scientific experiments have been done. Shubhanshu Shukla being part of many India-specific experiments, a very critical Axiom 4 mission, concluding here on the coast of California. Dr. Ajay Lele continues to be with us. Dr. Ajay Lele, your thoughts on the successful splashdown of Axiom 4 mission crew back to Earth?
I think a very important mission, as Shubhanshu Shukla was saying, that he has seen from the top, Sare Jahan Se Acha. Now he is back to the place which is Sare Jahan Se Acha. So I think this is a very important event in the history of India's space journey, which started way back into early 60s. So over a period of time, one can say that India has achieved many rollouts in the domain of space, and we will continue to do so in coming years, particularly with the experience which has been gained by Shubhanshu Shukla in this one mission. As it was being pointed out by the minister, that there will be various debriefings which will be undertaken. So basically, he will be talking about his experiments with the experts. He will be talking about the activities which were otherwise undertaken, about his stay, about his entire travel, because there are 3 to 4 agencies which were involved into it. One was ISRO, other was NASA, then there was Axiom 4, which is a commercial agency, and SpaceX also was involved for the launching of the craft by using their Falcon 9 rocket, and the Crew Dragon also belongs to SpaceX. So every agency has put their brains, put their minds into developing these technologies. So obviously all these 4 astronauts will have to debrief to all these agencies about their achievements, about what problems possibly they could have encountered over there, what could be the way forward. So a lot of critical briefings will be there, but that only after 7 to 8 days, when Shubhanshu Shukla regains his strength. Because as you stay in a space which is a microgravity atmosphere, there are certain amount of health related challenges because you are continuously almost floating out over there. So there are challenges associated with bone density. There could be challenges with your cardiovascular functioning. So there will be a lot amount of a testing which will happen from a medical point of view. Then even they say that you will get chicken legs because you're not being actually walking on your legs also because there was no gravity. So there will be small problems, but NASA is very well accustomed to all those things. They have undertaken many missions like these things. So there's nothing too much worry about it. It's only a matter of 7 to 8 days where that entire process has to get completed. And after that, he will start briefing various agencies about his experiences, about what are the experiments which were conducted. I think so much amount of a cargo has been brought back. So there will be equipments on which the experiments have been conducted. There will be a lot amount of data. So now the specialists, the experts will analyze that data and certain conclusions could be brought down. And subsequently, he is expected to get back to our country by 17th of August if everything goes as per the plan.
Okay, once again, let's remind our viewers, these are the visuals taken a while back. This is Axiom 4 mission crew's safe return to Earth. The parachutes there floating on the Pacific Ocean off the California coast. All the crew members have safely returned to Earth after their 18-day-long mission on the ISS aboard the Axiom 4 mission. Dr. Lele, Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla has reportedly conducted over 60 experiments in space. Could you tell us something more about what these experiments were mainly intended to achieve?
You see, when you're talking of a 60 experiments, it was not about Shubhanshu Shukla. The Axiom 4 mission, it had 4 astronauts and they had total 60 experiments which were there.
Okay.
It's not that only 4 countries of which these astronauts belong to had organized or has undertaken these experiments. There are a lot of other countries, more than 20 to 22 countries, which were involved in designing these experiments. As far as Shubhanshu Shukla was concerned, his task was very specific. He was supposed to undertake 7 experiments which are exclusively designed by Indian Space Research Organization, along with agencies like Department of Biotechnology and Indian Institute of Sciences. Other than that, there were 5 specific experiments which were developed by NASA, and Shubhanshu Shukla, along with other astronauts, was supposed to be part of that group to undertake those experiments. As far as Indian experiments were concerned, I can broadly divide those experiments, the 7 experiments, into 2 to 3 categories. One category is about the human health in microgravity atmosphere. That was an experiment which was related to understand how the human body actually operates into these types of atmospheres. Then there were experiments which were associated with oxygen, particularly the microalgae experiment. Then there are experiments which are associated with sprouting the moong and other sorts of vegetables out into the space. So if you really try to factor all these three important aspects as far as conducting of these experiments are concerned, one can realize that these are the experiments which are meant for the future usages. Because India has got plans of taking astronauts along with the Gaganyaan mission to space by 2027. Subsequently, there are plans to establish our own space station. So obviously, we would like to know more about how the astronauts' health responds to the microgravity atmosphere, because it's not only Shubhanshu Shukla now. In future, we will have many more astronauts going out into the space. Then there are issues which are associated with food and survival of the astronauts over there. So definitely for survival of the astronauts, water, food, and other elements are mostly required. So some of these experiments were associated with understanding that is it possible to prepare some sort of food out into the space itself. Because as you must be knowing that to carry anything to the space is a hugely costly affair. Even to carry half a kg or 1 kg of a weight to the space costs a lot amount of things. And if you want to sustain in the space for some months or some years together, you need to have or you need to develop a system which is essentially a system which will be self-sustaining system.
Okay, request you, Dr. Lele, to hold your thought here. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, joining the nation in welcoming Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as he returns to Earth from his historic mission to space. Prime Minister of India wrote on social media platform X, as India's first astronaut to have visited International Space Station, he has inspired 1 billion dreams through his dedication, courage and pioneering spirit. It marks another milestone towards our human space flight mission Gaganyaan. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi also elated, like the entire country, India, in welcoming Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla and his crew members as they return to Earth from their historic mission to space. Dr. Lele, your thoughts on how crucial the learnings will be for Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as he will prepare for another challenging mission of his life, mission Gaganyaan.
If you see the entire program of a Gaganyaan, by the year 2019, India has already identified 4 Air Force pilots to be trained as astronauts. Subsequently, they were sent to Russia to train, but there were some problems as far as India's Gaganyaan mission program was concerned, mainly owing to the COVID crisis. Hence, the mission got delayed. So we had a bunch of astronauts who were trained already in Russia. But after they got back from Russia, by that time India, the ISRO has already established its own training academy to train the astronauts in Bangalore. So they continued to do their training. Then subsequently a window of opportunity came when Indo-US technical understanding deal was taken off. That time an opportunity came that an Indian astronaut can go on Axiom 4 mission. So we had identified 2 astronauts and they were sent to NASA for further training, because their training was essentially based on what we call as a Soyuz spacecraft, a technology slightly different than which has been used by Axiom 4 or SpaceX. So they had to retrain to get accustomed to this new type of a technology which they will be using to the International Space Station. So amongst these 2 astronauts, Shubhanshu Shukla got an opportunity to go to the International Space Station. So he has undergone a lot amount of a training in various phases and he was totally prepared to undertake this mission. And now when you're talking of learnings from this mission, they are not going to be the learnings only for Shubhanshu Shukla. They are going to be the learnings for India's entire space community, particularly who are involved into human space flights. Because we have got Gaganyaan program and we have got our own space station development program also. So his learnings from these things are going to come very handy as far as development of our Gaganyaan program further is concerned and ensuring that Indian space station will be manned by Indian astronauts over a period of time. As far as ISRO is concerned, the experiments which he has undertaken, because ISRO being a very important space agency for all these years, never got an opportunity to undertake experiments into microgravity atmosphere. Shubhanshu Shukla's mission allowed ISRO to undertake experiments basically related with biology in microgravity atmosphere. So there will be a lot amount of learnings for ISRO also from this mission.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lele, for being with us. You've explained to us the achievements of this historic Axiom 4 mission. On our screen, we have seen these visuals coming in of the Axiom 4 mission's safe splashdown near the coast of California. We also saw visuals of Shubhanshu Shukla's parents in Lucknow, elated and, of course, having a sense of relief and, of course, pride for their son's historic achievement, Shubhanshu Shukla and the Axiom 4 mission crew returning to Earth. So let's now also tell you the key events related to Axiom 4. So on 25th June, the mission successfully was launched from Launch Complex in Florida, using a SpaceX Falcon 9 Block 5 rocket and the Crew Dragon spacecraft Grace. And on your screen, we are showing you the summary of the research topics. These are the topics specific to the studies conducted by the Axiom 4 mission. So the Axiom 4 mission carried 60 experiments representing 31 nations. These experiments included research into muscle formation, myogenesis, bone health, as Dr. Lele was also explaining, microalgae sustainability, stem cell behavior, the growth of edible sprouts in microgravity. The findings are anticipated to play a vital role in developing long-duration spaceflight strategies and enhancing biomedical understanding on Earth. And the crew were tasked with a diverse set of experiments around medicine, agriculture, and of course space exploration. Captain Shukla's work centered on skeletal and muscle degradation in space. Astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla, the Axiom 4 mission pilot, has showcased a zero-gravity experiment aboard the International Space Station involving water to illustrate how microgravity transforms everyday physics. Shukla also carried out an experiment of growing microalgae as a sustainable source of nutrition in long-duration space travels. The experiment, part of Axiom Space's outreach and scientific mission, highlighted the unique behavior of water in space. And the other crew members, Peggy Whitson, former NASA astronaut and director of human spaceflight at Axiom Space, ISRO astronaut, Indian Space Research Organization Shubhanshu Shukla, European Space Agency project astronaut Stavros Uznaski-Wisniewski of Poland, and astronaut Tibor Karpu of Hungary conducted these experiments, and they worked on cancer, microgreens and plant biology, and how the human body, particularly blood circulation, behaves under microgravity conditions. The crew also took part in a mental health study for astronauts as well. So now the ship doing the winding up operations of the splashdown here, Axiom 4 mission crew safely returning to Earth. As we told you, the Space Odyssey began on 25th June when the mission was successfully launched from the NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. On June 26th, the Axiom crew arrived and docked at the International Space Station. On June 28th, Shubhanshu Shukla spoke to Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. Well, that was a very historic speech where he said, referencing astronaut Rakesh Sharma's words, that India looked the same, one of the best in the world. Sare jahan se acha. It said that India is fearless, India is confident, and this is the new India. So this was on June 28th, and after that 18 days spent in space aboard the ISS, the crew conducted 60 scientific experiments and activities from 31 countries. If I could name these 31 countries, these included the USA, India, Poland, Hungary, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Nigeria, UAE, and various European nations. So the crew joined NASA's Expedition 73 crew for a welcome ceremony and collaborated on various scientific outreach and commercial activities. This was, in fact, the most extensive research portfolio of any Axiom space mission to date. And what we saw yesterday was the undocking from the ISS. The Crew Dragon Grace spacecraft undocked from the ISS International Space Station on July 14th at 11:15 hours UTC, that is 4:35 p.m. Indian Standard Time, beginning the journey back to Earth. And we are getting reactions from across the country. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India wrote on Twitter a short while back that a historic mission.
The vehicle moving,
Exactly.
what those different feelings are with the spacecraft moving around.
Trying to give crew some level of situational awareness of where they are and where they're going next. So Dragon will remain in the nest during the crew extraction and for the journey back into port. The spacecraft is currently was just lifted, as you saw, and set on the nest. And from here, it'll be centered and oriented. And then from there, Dragon will be translated into the hangar underneath the helipad aboard the ship so that we can then open the hatch. And once open, a SpaceX medical doctor will be the first one in to check on the crew to see if they are ready to egress out of the vehicle. And as we noted earlier, Axiom medical teams are also on the recovery vessel working in tandem with SpaceX staff to assess and assist the crew.
The astronauts will egress, or what we call exit, from Dragon's side hatch, pending spacecraft orientation in the water. Before opening the hatch, the spacecraft's cabin pressure must be equalized with the outside environment. Now, once the hatch is opened, that will be the Axiom 4 crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding Falcon 9 at the start of their mission on June 25th.
And that will be an exciting moment for the crew, I know. But for the crew and also for the ground crews, getting that first confirmation of your crew exiting the spacecraft, getting good medical checks, and then coming out and getting a thumbs up is something everybody wants to be able to see, and we'll be able to see it soon.
Yeah. And it looks like the spacecraft is nestled into the nest.
Dragon, SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery ship. Apology for the delayed call earlier. We're still working to transition the forward link. Recovery personnel are completing their final checks, and I will let you know when we are ready for translation across the deck to the egress platform.
Now, they are de-rigging the spacecraft, but they're also doing some final sniff or leak checks and then covering the thruster locations prior to opening that hatch. Let's just make sure that the vehicle is more than safe for the crew members to exit the vehicle.
तो शुभांशु शुक्ला की धरती पर वापसी, बता दें धरती पर वापस लौटे हैं शुभांशु शुक्ला, और यह ऐतिहासिक पल है जब भारतीय अंतरिक्ष यात्री ग्रुप कैप्टन शुभांशु शुक्ला 18 दिन की अंतर्राष्ट्रीय अंतरिक्ष स्टेशन यात्रा के बाद धरती पर लौट आए हैं और यह उनकी पहली अंतरिक्ष यात्रा थी। बता दें आपको, ये भारतीय अंतरिक्ष यात्री जो कि 18 दिन तक वहां पर रहे शुभांशु शुक्ला, और ये पहली अंतरिक्ष यात्रा थी जो एक्सियोम मिशन 4 का हिस्सा थी। शुभांशु स्पेस एक्स के ग्रेस यान से लौटे और कैलिफोर्निया तट के पास प्रशांत महासागर में सुरक्षित लैंडिंग की, और यह भारत के अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम के लिए गर्व का क्षण है। बता दें आपको, शुभांशु को देखकर उनके माता पिता भी भावुक हुए और पूरे भारत के लिए अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम में के लिए ये गर्व का क्षण है। तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। शुभांशु शुक्ला धरती पर वापस लौटे हैं और यह ऐतिहासिक पल हर एक उस भारतीय के लिए 20 दिन के बाद अंतरिक्ष से पृथ्वी पर वापस लौटे हैं शुभांशु शुक्ला। Shubhanshu Shukla
spacecraft has been lifted onto the recovery vessel Shannon. Now the recovery crew is safing the vehicle. They're putting some covers on the thrusters of the vehicle just to ensure, now that the spacecraft is no longer in operation, we don't need those thrusters. They did some sniff checks before they put some covers on it.
SpaceX, comm check.
We have you loud and clear in Dragon.
Copy that, Dragon. We have you the same. Welcome aboard the recovery ship. We are working to troubleshoot the forward link transition. Stand by for translation across the deck. I'll let you know when we're ready for that.
Okay, copy.
The crew is preparing for translation. This is where that Dragon nest is going to move the spacecraft towards the deck, and that deck is going to meet the bottom of the Dragon hatch, and that'll enable the crew to egress or exit the Dragon spacecraft onto a platform on the recovery vessel. And again, the recovery crew looks like they may have finished safing the vehicle in preparation for that translation.
As you mentioned, Jesse, that hatch that you see right in the center of the spacecraft, when we see crew egress from that, SpaceX medical personnel will be there to assess crew and assist them along with other ground support crew out of the spacecraft. And at that point, that'll be our first time being able to see the AX-4 crew since their liftoff to the International Space Station on June 25th. On a side note, I do love seeing crew go into and come out of the hatch, whether it's the side hatch or whether it is the docking port. I love seeing the smiles on their faces.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for them once we open this Dragon side hatch. Again, it'll be the first breath of fresh air in about 20 days for them since they boarded the Falcon 9 on launch day.
And it is an interesting distinction. You launch in the Atlantic and you splash down the Pacific. It's very different breaths of air that you're getting.
And you traveled all over space for thousands of miles.
288 orbits, something like 7.6 million miles, all just to come down across the country.
Millions of miles, I should say. It's definitely a great passport to have.
It is. Maybe that could be the next memento that we can provide crew before they lift off as a passport that they can see.
I think the locations would be orbits.
That'd be really cool.
Outside of Earth.
Yeah.
Earth orbits, low Earth orbit. Again, next up, we are expecting the translation of the Dragon spacecraft named Grace, named by the Axiom Mission 4 crew. Again, the spacecraft will translate in preparation for hatch opening and exiting of the vehicle.
A few moments ago, Core spoke with the AX-4 crew to let them know that the translation will be happening soon.
Dragon, SpaceX, final checks are complete. Translation across the deck to the egress platform will begin shortly. There is a chance that we get a lot of alarms. No concern.
Dragon copies.
And we have movement. Translation is beginning. Some residual ocean water splashing down, and then we are washing down the hatch area. Again, just preparing for the vehicle's side hatch to be opened. Getting some of that salt water off, maybe some of that plasma from reentry off.
Right, all nominal processes to ensure that that crew can safely egress the vehicle, but also that ground personnel are safely protected while handling the spacecraft and crew as well. At this point, we can see SpaceX personnel positioning themselves to support in this, as well as the spacecraft making final approaches to that upper landing pad for crew to egress the vehicle. After that freshwater washdown of the hatch area, we're seeing some final wipe downs as well. For those with a keen eye as well, you could see on the side of Grace, as it was making its approach towards the upper landing, the Axiom logo proudly displayed on the spacecraft. We had some great shots during the docking footage of SpaceX, Axiom, making a beautiful image of the vehicle docked to the International Space Station. It's a little worn.
A little
but
toasty.
A little toasty.
A little toasty.
All part of nominal ops, so.
3,500 degrees Fahrenheit
That'll
will
do
do
that.
that.
Dragon, SpaceX, standby for side hatch opening and egress of some smiling faces.
Here we go.
All right, we're looking forward to it.
They are just about to open that side hatch, and again, first person that'll greet the crew will be the medical officer.
The hatch is open, and ground crews are making first contact with the Axiom 4 crew.
And you see that square looking tool, that's just a protector for the hatch seal for while the crew egresses. This is a reusable vehicle, so we are protecting both the crew as well as the spacecraft, making sure there's no damage that happens and that the crew doesn't bump their head on anything on the spacecraft.
तो शुभांशु शुक्ला के समुद्र में
Looks like we're getting, the crew's getting some first photos.
That's a good sign that they had good initial comms with medical personnel. So this time we are now just, if you're just joining us, we're waiting for the AX4 crew to egress or exit the Dragon spacecraft, also known as Grace, as part of the conclusion of their more than 20-day mission to the International Space Station.
You can see the crew is handing some of their cargo. That looks like their tablets that they use throughout their mission.
Making it a little easier for crew to make their way out of the spacecraft as well.
Looks like they just removed the footrests. It gives the crew some space to get out of their seats while they are exiting the vehicle.
Now getting some great internal views of the AX-4 crew in their spacecraft.
I already saw some big smiles as people we've all been saying.
As we wait for the AX-4 crew to egress the vehicle, you can see ground crew is still putting in aspects of I'm not going to call it rigging, but hardware to help the crew get out of the spacecraft more easily. Reminder that they've been in microgravity for a little over 20 days, and occasionally your first few steps back on Earth can be slightly challenging.
It's a little different in microgravity than dealing with the gravity here on Earth. Just now joining us, we are waiting for the AX-4 crew to exit the Dragon spacecraft Grace. Peggy, Shux, Suave, and Tibor are at the end of their Axiom Mission 4. After 20 days in space, 18 on board the International Space Station. 18 days.
And now this wraps up a very significant portion of the mission, but it's not entirely over. We still have a few medical checks to go. And then in addition to that, the AX-4, all the research done on the AX-4 mission is all going to be in a world of post-processing, analysis, assessment, and that's all part of it, as well as crew debriefs. So, following after crew egresses the spacecraft and gets good medical checks, at that point we'll be getting the crew back home and then continuing the final, we'll call it terrestrial-based operations of the
That's
AX-4
right.
mission.
I guess it's more of the end of the space-facing portion of the mission.
Operational phase. We're still going to take our time to get there. You can see ground crews are still working with the crew members and hardware inside. They've established some ground support equipment to help in the aid of the AX-4 crew getting out of the spacecraft.
And some of their aides are not too complex. That white platform that you see there is essentially a slide.
Yeah. But an important one.
A very important slide.
But in addition to that slide, you know, we do have, there's a complex tool that you mentioned earlier, Jesse, about protecting the seals. We can see now crew looking to make, the first crew members looking to make their egress from the spacecraft along that slide.
Sliding out.
And there she is. We see Commander Peggy Whitson, all smiles, exiting the spacecraft Grace. That is a beautiful sight. Peggy Whitson, the AX-4 commander, is home, having logged 695 days in space on 5 flights. She is the 7th on the all-time list for most days in space by a human. It's an incredible feat.
Legendary.
Science modules and science launch, etc. is there. But that's only one part. Of course, to answer your question, yes, space tourism, the way we have gone ahead with the private participation, the commercial launch, it is necessary, definitely possible that in near future, maybe half a decade from now, the space tourism should become very, very practical. Okay, right now it's only the astronauts, the trained pilots, and the flight experienced astronauts who are flying, but the general public also should fly. This is the reason the experiments which are happening in ISS for diabetes cure, or for blood pressure cure, or for cancer cure, the experiments which are happening, and also the muscle loss of muscle power, loss of
Okay, here we see the moment we were all waiting for. Group Captain, India's Shubhanshu Shukla, alighting from the capsule now. Well, really waving happily and, of course, seeming in good spirit there. Dr. Sharma.
Yes, of course, yes. It looks very happy to see they are not really wheeled out of the Dragon module, unlike we saw with Crew 10 module, where the Williams and the other crew modules were brought. They were literally wheeled out in the sense in the stretchers, but they are able to walk with the support. Is something really heartening to see. Continue to wear viewer in terms of the space technology, etc. There is much more to do in terms of communication satellites, in terms of Earth observation satellites, in terms of oceanography satellites, and also in terms of reaching the common man, which is the goal of this country and which is the goal of this organization, namely ISRO, to reach the last person of this country of 140 crore people, to touch everyone in every aspect, in every application. Space coming into the picture is something, including the strategic sector, which we saw in the recent past as well, that strategic sector also, the space playing a major role in terms of the security and safety of this country. Therefore, while the space tourism is definitely on the cards and will happen, it is also important we are growing in terms of communication, in terms of Earth observation, in terms of oceanography, in terms of resources stabilization, and also in terms of the navigation satellites, which are in large numbers, which are really backbone for this country in terms of in the times of distress where we'll be denied of access to the location because of various geopolitical situation. So the country is marching towards the self-sufficiency, Atmanirbhar Bharat, what we call, and what the Prime Minister...
Indeed, India becoming self-sufficient. Participation of Shubhanshu Shukla, their epic moment for their parents. Let's listen in to Shubhanshu Shukla's father there, surrounded by media professionals for a quick reaction there. These visuals coming from Lucknow.
So, Poland. Suave is all smiles for this, which I love to see.
Uznaski Wisniewski, Polish astronaut assigned to the European Space Agency, also waving happily to the camera here.
Astronaut Sławosz Znański-Wiśniewski flying in partnership with the European Space Agency.
So, Dr. Sharma, the participation of Shukla, an Indian Air Force pilot, is seen by India's space program as a precursor of sorts to the debut crewed mission of its Gaganyaan mission planned for 2027. These learnings will be really crucial for that mission as well.
Yes, as I keep saying repeatedly in my every interview and every address, this country in particular, in large, and ISRO in particular, we do everything with a mission, and everything there is a purpose, and every rupee what we spend is accountable, and we feel that we are spending the taxpayers' money, and that should be utilized for the purpose which is destined for. Therefore, the Gaganyaan mission, the human space program mission, we started in about a decade and a half, and the progress has been happening. Continuously we are progressing. You would have seen the docking mission successful in 2026 January, and we had several other experiments, space recovery experiment, where we took a capsule to space and brought it down to the sea and recovered it. Space recovery experiment about 8-9 years back we did. Like that, every experiment, and also we did the pad abort test. That means in the fully loaded rocket condition, if anything happens to the rocket in terms of catastrophe, how to recover the astronaut who will be in the upper stage. That experiment also we did. That way, every experiment, every development what we are doing, we are progressing positively towards our Gaganyaan, our Chandrayaan, and also the impending missions of the landing on Moon, the Chandrayaan 4, which is expected to land on Moon, and also impending missions of the Venus, Mars landing, etc., and also colonization of the Moon. So this particular mission to answer specifically, because this is a very important question you have asked me. Since 2019. We selected 4 astronauts and we trained them in Bangalore in our astronaut training center. Then we sent them to Russia in the Glavcosmos training center. Then we sent them to US for American Space Center for astronaut training center. Then we took a decision that we will spend 550 crores sending one astronaut to ISS, because whatever training we have given, whatever we have taught them, is through simulators, through textbooks, through paper, but we need to necessarily have a hands-on experience. So hands-on experience means a lot. Therefore, we decided that we send one astronaut, namely Shubhanshu Shukla, to ISS, and he was additionally quarantined from May 25. His launch should have happened, and it happened only in 2000.
तो शुभांशु शुक्ला गगन जीत कर वापस लौटे हैं। उनके माता पिता भी वहां पर मौजूद है। उनकी आंखों में वो खुशी के आंसू जो है वो नजर आ रहे, देख सकते हैं आप। बता दें 20 दिन के अंतरिक्ष में रहने के बाद चारों एस्ट्रोनॉट के साथ शुभांशु शुक्ला जो हैं वो वापस लौटे हैं। शुभांशु शुक्ला से 4 एस्ट्रोनॉट 20 दिन अंतरिक्ष में रहने के बाद पृथ्वी पर वापस लौटे, और ये हर एक भारतीय के लिए गर्व का क्षण है। गर्व महसूस कर रहे हैं शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी पर। आपको बता दें कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने भी उन्हें बधाई दी उनकी इस वापसी को लेकर। करीब 23 घंटे के सफर के बाद ड्रैगन स्पेस क्राफ्ट की आज यानी कि 15 जुलाई को दोपहर 3 बजे कैलिफोर्निया के तट पर लैंडिंग हुई, और इसे स्पेस डाउन कहते हैं। चारों एस्ट्रोनॉट एक दिन पहले शाम 4:45 पर इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन से पृथ्वी के लिए रवाना हुए थे, और सभी जो है अब सकुशल वापस लौट चुके हैं। तस्वीरें आपके सामने, मुस्कुराते हुए शुभांशु शुक्ला बाहर आए, उनके साथ 4 एस्ट्रोनॉट और थे जो वो भी वापस आए हैं। और वहीं आपको बता दें कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने भी शुभांशु शुक्ला के वापस आने पर उन्हें बधाई दी है। और ये एक बार फिर पूरे देश के लिए गर्व की बात है। गर्व महसूस कर रहे हर एक भारतीय। शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी पर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने कहा कि मैं पूरे देश के साथ ग्रुप कैप्टन शुभांशु शुक्ला का उनकी ऐतिहासिक अंतरिक्ष यात्रा से पृथ्वी पर वापसी के लिए स्वागत करता हूं। और ये तस्वीरें आप देखिए, मुस्कुराते हुए शुभांशु शुक्ला बाहर आए। सभी एस्ट्रोनॉट, बता दें आपको, 26 जून को भारतीय समय के अनुसार अगर हम बात करें तो शाम 4:01 पर ISS पहुंचे थे और एक्सियम मिशन 4 के तहत 25 जून को दोपहर करीब 12 बजे ये रवाना हुए। वहीं SpaceX के फाल्कन 9 रॉकेट से जुड़े ड्रैगन कैप्सूल में इन्होंने कैनेडी स्पेस सेंटर से उड़ान भरी थी। शुभांशु की वापसी पर हर भारतीय आज गर्व महसूस कर रहे हैं। वापस लौटे हैं शुभांशु शुक्ला और ये उनके माता पिता भी वहां पर मौजूद। देखते हुए शुभांशु शुक्ला को उनकी आंखों में वो खुशी के आंसू जो है वो नजर आ रहे हैं। शुभांशु की वापसी पर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने भी उन्हें बधाई दी है। कहा है शुभांशु ने अपने समर्पण साहस से अरबों सपनों को प्रेरित किया है और यह हमारे अपनी मानव अंतरिक्ष उड़ान मिशन गगनयान की दिशा में एक और मील का पत्थर है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने शुभांशु शुक्ला की वापसी पर उन्हें बधाई दी है और बता दें आपको कि शुभांशु शुक्ला की समुद्र में लैंडिंग भारत के अंतरिक्ष इतिहास में एक सुनहरा अध्याय जोड़ती है। गगनयान के साथ उनकी वापसी न केवल एक वैज्ञानिक उपलब्धि है बल्कि देश के लिए भी प्रेरणा है। बता दें आपको कि 10 दिन के लिए वे अभी आइसोलेशन में रहेंगे, उसके बाद नॉर्मल लाइफ में वापस लौटेंगे। और बता दें ये यात्रा उनकी हमेशा याद रखी जाएगी। ड्रैगन कैप्सूल से बाहर निकलते हुए मुस्कुराते हुए अंतरिक्ष यात्री शुभांशु शुक्ला नजर आ रहे हैं और उनके माता पिता की आंखों में 2 तस्वीरें आप देखिए। एक तस्वीर में उनके माता पिता की आंखों में खुशी के आंसू हैं और दूसरे तस्वीर में आप देखिए शुभांशु शुक्ला बाहर आते हुए खुशी से नजर आ रहे हैं। तो 15 जुलाई दोपहर 3 बजे एक ऐतिहासिक पल आया जब भारतीय अंतरिक्ष यात्री ग्रुप कैप्टन शुभांशु शुक्ला 18 दिन के अंतरिक्ष स्टेशन ISS यात्रा के बाद धरती पर वापस लौटे। यह उनकी पहली अंतरिक्ष यात्रा थी। शुभांशु SpaceX के ग्रेस यान से लौटे और कैलिफोर्निया तट के पास प्रशांत महासागर में सुरक्षित लैंडिंग हुई है और यह भारत के अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम के लिए एक गर्व का क्षण है। अगर उनके सफर और लौटने की तैयारी की बात करें तो बता दें आपको कि शुभांशु शुक्ला 25 जून 2025 को फाल्कन 9 रॉकेट से लॉन्च हुए थे और 26 जून को ISS से जुड़े थे। इस दौरान उन्होंने 60 से अधिक वैज्ञानिक प्रयोग भी किए जिसमें मांसपेशियों की हानि, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य और अंतरिक्ष में फसल उगाने जैसे शोध इसमें शामिल थे। वहीं अगर भारतीय समय के अनुसार बात करें तो 14 जुलाई को शाम 4:45 पर ग्रेस यान ISS से अलग हुआ, पृथ्वी की ओर बढ़ा और लैंडिंग से पहले ग्रेस यान ने कई चरणों से होकर गुजरा। फिलहाल रुकते एक छोटे से ब्रेक के लिए जल्द लौटेंगे।